Hi and welcome back to the channel. Now today I want to talk to you about pivoting the club and what is pivot and why should you do it, and then possibly give you a drill to try and work on it as well. So anyway, let's go do it. So pivoting the club, why should we pivot the club? What is pivot in the club, and why is it so important to my golf game? Well, it's going to help you out. It's a major power source in the golf swing, and you have to learn to use your levers correctly, which is your hands and wrists. And I've done videos on this plenty of times. I've done social medias and all sorts. But basically, learning to hinge the wrists in the backswing, unhinge them and rehinge them is a major power source for every golfer in the swing. Now, your professional golfers, your tournament players, they're often told not to release the club or hold the hands off and so on and so forth. But that's because they're hyper skilled and they've already learnt that skill. But 99% of our golfers out there haven't learnt this skill. I see so many amateur golfers that haven't learned to pivot the club correctly and allow it to release and use their levers correctly. And if they did that, they get immediate power sources straight away. So it's something that I really want to talk to you about and give you a definition of what it is and why we need to do it. So the definition of a pivot is, if I was to stand here, we call this the look cool drill. So if I just stand here like this and I just hinge the wrist back, hinge it through and hinge back and create just this, you'll often see the tour players when they're waiting on the tee or something like that, or they're just talking to their buddies at the driving range, you'll see them often doing just this action here. So it's a hinging in the backswing, unhinging and rehinging in the forward swing. Now, essentially, this is your golf swing. So, and I'm allowing momentum of the club, so the weight of the club is actually releasing the club for me and swinging my arms for me and releasing the club for me as well. I'm not actually physically trying to do it. I'm allowing the weight of the club just to do it. And it flows, it times up right, and the club head pivots at some point in the swing. It'd be the same if I was doing it with my right hand. If I just get rid of my right hand and my left hand here and I stood like this, hinge back, hinge through. So I'm allowing the club head to swing freely on its own free will, and I'm allowing it to pivot during the swing. But what is a pivot? Well, when I stand here, if I have a ball here, if I stand here, I won't hit it. But if I stand like this, the club head at the beginning is closer to the ball than the butt end of the club. When I swing back to about here somewhere, now the butt end of the club is closer to the ball than the club head. So at some point, the club is pivoted past the handle, okay? So it's pivoted that way. Now on the downswing, it then pivots again. So the club head then pivots and pivots past here, and I release into the ball. So the wrist hinge on the backswing unhinges and it pivots, and on the forward swing, it pivots again. Okay, so the butt end of the club is now closer to the ball than the club head. So I've pivoted 3 times during the stroke. Now the simplest way to point that out is if I stand here and put this out on my shoulder like this, and I just stand there and I just throw my hands out and put the club head on here, you can see how the club head pivots here. There's a pivoting action here. Okay, the butt of the handle goes backwards, but then the club head goes out and around. Okay, and that's a pivot action. Now that is a major source of power. Okay, if I wasn't to do that and I was just to do that, I can't create the same speed. I'm still using a pivot there. If I was to do this, I can't create the same speed as if I just went like that. I can create club head speed. So you've got to learn to allow the club head to pivot. So it pivots back and forth. Now, this pivoting action is essentially my golf swing. Okay, it feels like I'm pivoting the club here somewhere early. When I'm doing it with just my right hand, it will feel like it's early. So the club head pivots just outside my right thigh. All right. Now, essentially in the golf swing, it won't happen there, because if I add in dynamic motion and movement and getting my body working correctly, the pivot actually happens over here somewhere. Okay. But when I'm doing just the look cool drill, okay, I'm standing here just doing this, it pivots early. All right. And that's the feeling you want to get. It's what we call directing momentum. So learning to do that, like I say, that essentially is the golf swing. Because if I then put my left hand on, okay, I'm not even holding it correctly, put my left hand on and do the pivot action, and then I start to add in body motion, suddenly I've got myself a golf swing. So essentially learning that skill of pivoting the club is essentially you learning the whole golf swing. Okay, and it's as simple as allowing the weight of the club to do the work for you. So it's very important that you practice that skill first. Now, it's amazing how many people can't stand there and physically just do that. They'll be trying to pull the arms through, or they'll be trying to hold the angle through here, and they can't allow that club head to pivot, especially in the forward swing. And that's why they lose power. So and it's not so much that you're going to suddenly gain extra power. If you can already do this motion, it's not like you're going to gain loads of speed and loads of club head speed. But what you're going to gain though is effortless speed. Okay, it's about efficiency of motion, as opposed to you putting everything into it and only hitting it X, Y, Z. Whereas if you stand there with your feet together and just like that, you hit it exactly the same distance. Which one's easier to do? Well, that one. Okay, so it's very important you understand that. It's about efficiency of motion rather than giving you extra club head speed. Now, people like Rory McIlroy and people like that, and so on, they've already know how to release their hands correctly. Now, some of them might need to take a little bit of that out because they might be a bit too flippy. Yeah, that's fine, we can do that. But it's about learning that motion first, that skill first, which 90% of golf plus need to learn, more so than tournament pros. And when you read these books and magazines and all this Instagram stuff and so on, a lot of them are taking tips because that's what Tiger Woods does. Well, I hate to say it, you're not Tiger Woods. So you need to add in that motion. Okay, as an amateur golfer, you need to add in that motion. And there's pros out there as well that need to add it in there as well. We often see golfers, they'll fire through here and then they've got the club up here somewhere and this arm's tucked in, or they chicken wing it and so on. And if you chicken winging it, you're not allowing the club head to pivot. Okay, so learning to allow the club to pivot is really, really important. So that's one of the things that you need to be working on, and if you can add that into a game, especially with the driver, then you'll effectively you've mastered golf. So how do we practice this, or how do I practice this? So the best drill that you can do to practice this is either A, do the look cool drill, but one of the best things that I do is the L to L. Now, L to L is a staple at Malaska Golf, and basically it teaches you the lever system efficiently. Now, all you're going to do here is create two L shapes. So as I swing the club back, I'm going to allow the club head to pivot past my hands or pivot over itself, and I'm going to hinge the wrists, and I'm going to get to this position here where my left arm is parallel to the ground, back of my hand is fairly flat to my forearm, it can be cupped or slightly bowed, or either or. There's a window of opportunity on each one of those. But more importantly though, I've created an L shape with a shaft and my left arm. So I've hinged the wrists, I've pivoted it. So the butt end of the club is closer to the ball than the club head. I'm then going to allow the club head to release and hit the ball. And then more importantly then, I'm going to create an L shape on the forward swing. So this is just a mirror image of what I've just did on the way back. My right arm is now parallel to the ground, the back of my right hand is flat and flush. My left wrist is slightly bent back on itself because we like to teach a throw release. But more importantly, I've created an L shape now with a shaft and my right arm. Okay, I am not bothered about what my body does. Okay, if anything, I want to keep your chest facing forward as you do this. So back, hinge, and hinge through. Okay, I don't want you to use your body hardly at all. I want you to get used to the fact of the club head throwing out and passing your chest. And that's one of the key things here. We want the club head to pass your chest and your body, not move in tandem with it. Okay, so practicing L to L is really where I start with all my clients. L to L, if they can't do L to L, there is no point in moving on any further until they can master L to L. So you've got to get the wrist to hinge on the backswing, unhinge and rehinge on the forward swing. Trying not to lift this heel off the ground and getting the feeling of the club head passing the chest. Okay, I want the chest to be facing still down as you hit the ball. Okay, it's just a feeling, remember that. So just go from L to L. Okay, It doesn't have to be hard. You don't have to try and swipe it as far as you possibly can. Just allow the club head to swing down into the ball and just do L to L. You can do it off a T-peg. Mine's just flown 50 yards back into the garden there, so I won't bother getting it. So just L to L. Now I'm trying not to use my body hardly at all. It will move, but I want to try and keep it separate. Back and through, okay? Practicing L to L is very, very important. So do that one as often as you possibly can. That's normally, for me, that's a warm-up when I'm practicing at a driving range or golf course. That is how I would generally start to warm up. I actually start by just chipping a few one-handed, get a feel for the hands, how they're working, and then I start to add in L to L. So L to L is vital. So L to L. And try not to use, if you can, the body. Get used to the club head passing the hands and creating the club head speed through the release rather than trying to throw your body at it. So just going from L to L, okay? Once you've done that, you've got the feel for that club head moving and releasing properly, then obviously you can build it up to a fuller swing. So the fuller swing is then basically just more of a shoulder turn back and through. And it's as simple as that really. And you can finish the swing off by pushing your hips out the way and following through. So just going from L to L, I've created that swing. Nice shot, felt nice anyway. So I want you to practice that as much as you possibly can and add it into your routine, your daily routine. When you're calibrating your golf swing at the beginning of a round or during a practice session, always start with L to L. It's a good start point. And then we can add in fancy things from there like path control and face control, just getting used from L to L. But that is the basic of your swing. You want to learn to hinge, unhinge, and rehinge, or pivot the club. Another way to feel it is to literally just stand there and just throw the club head out like so. You know, start behind you and get used to it passing your hands. You can see here, there's a moment in time when it passes your hands. Somebody wrote a comment the other day actually about what do I think about this data that's now come out of that the hands actually officially slow down during the impact area. Well, that's basically the club head pivoting. So as I get to about here, they will slow down because then the club head catches up and passes through. Okay, they're not going to continue outracing the club head. Otherwise, if you continue to outrace it, the club head's always going to be left behind. At some point in moment of time, it has to catch up. It has to. It's the same in any principle in any sport you're using of hitting anything. At some point, the bat or the racket or whatever has to pass the hands. Tennis, if I was going to serve a ball, the racket goes up, my hands stay still, and then the racket passes my hands. Okay, it starts here, and then I pivot it to create speed. Well, it's the same thing as down here, basically, rather than being up over my head. Okay, tennis is about as close as we get to a static ball sport as golf, because at one moment in time, the ball is stationary, and you're creating the speed with your wrists. Well, it's the same thing with a golf swing. Okay, so very, very important that you practice that as much as you possibly can. I know it will definitely benefit your game and will give you efficient power, okay, more so and easier. I mean, I've had so many people that come and do this and they hit the ball and they say, well, how comes that's gone just as far as I normally hit my 7-iron? Because it's efficient power, okay? You're using the lever system properly. Anyway, I hope that helps you. And if you have any questions, again, please drop a comment below. So there we have it. That's what I call pivot in the club. Okay, it's not mine, it's Mike Malaska. Mike is my coach and mentor, as you know, I'm a Malaska coach as well. But learning to pivot the club correctly is really important. Now, there'll be some people out there that will comment, oh, you're teaching a flippy release. It's, you know, it's okay if you want to flip it. You won't flip it. You need to flip it. I was watching a clip of another YouTuber or a set of YouTubers, and they were saying, send it. You know, just hit it as hard as you can. And when you watch their follow through, they were so like flipped over here because that's how you create speed. They've got great golf swings, and yet they wouldn't be crucified at all about, oh, you're teaching a flippy swing, okay? But we all do it. All professionals do it. You need to learn that skill if you want to get really good at golf, okay? So learn this skill, and I promise you, you will become a much more efficient golfer. Anyway, thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. Thank you to the new subscribers just recently. Again, I can't thank my subscribers enough. I'm getting close to 2,000, which is brilliant. I never thought that would happen in the 2 years I've been doing it. I don't really do it for subscribers, but it's nice to know that people are actually enjoying the videos. Please comment below though if you have any questions, but remember, please to like and remember to subscribe and share as well with other golfers that you think might benefit from this instruction. If you need any further help or advice, please message me. I'm always open to it. And also I have my own website at mattbakergolf.com. There's going to be a version 2 coming out, which is going to be more Malaska-ish, because that's what I am. And also remember to go and join Mike's site as well. You can't miss it. And if you want to get a special discount code, which I have, which can give you a discount off his site as well, drop me a DM somewhere on my socials. More than happy to share it. But Mike's site is malaskagolf.com as well. Great info, great insight. Is a great product, and I feature on it as well. You might see my ugly mug on it as well. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next week.